Shalom, Yasharallah. This your brother Dawada, coming back at you with this here truth again. First and foremost, I want to give all praise unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shah, Bahashem, Rakach Wadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for your Akim pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Alright, I want to jump into this here quick little lesson, basically dealing with this coming economic collapse, alright? And basically how this is being orchestrated for a purpose of issuing in this mark of the beast microchip. One part of that mark of the beast system is a monetary application. They're going to use it for buying and selling. All right, so we're going to jump into this here lesson, which is basically the setup for all of this stuff. All right, this is coming from RT. It says the biggest bubble in history of mankind. Ron Paul says U.S. stock market will soon plunge by 50%. Now, when you go and you look through, if you look through RT's news, from today and the last couple of days, a lot of these stories are talking basically about an economic collapse. All right. And, that's pretty much where we're getting at, especially with these trade wars. There's another article about trade wars lead to real wars, and as you see Donald Trump putting these sanctions on all these other nations and basically putting sanctions on the whole planet Earth. This is akin to, that one bully that's going throughout the whole school, bullying the whole school. It's one bully versus the whole school. Eventually the school's going to get tired of it and they're going to band together and go at trying to get rid of that one bully. And that's what you see happening now. All right. So this here article says, biggest bubble in history of mankind. Ron Paul says U.S. stock market will soon plunge by 50%. All right. It says the recent jump in treasury bond yields indicate that the U.S. is barreling towards a potential recession and stock market meltdown at an increasingly fast pace, according to former Republican Congressman Ron Paul. All right. Now, if you understand, how this system works, and if you understand what's going on with this system, that we basically this economy has collapsed like years ago. All right. When they started introducing this quantitative easing, or QE, when they started with QE1, quantitative easing basically is setting the interest rates at zero for or damn near close to zero for basically people borrowing money. So you have these people that's so-called borrowing more and more money at a very, very low rate that they don't have to pass it back, which is making, at the low level people, want to go out and buy all this shit, you know what I'm saying, or get credit or take out loans to buy all this shit, you know what I'm saying, with very little interest rate on it, which is going to cause the banks to give out more and more and more and more loans. They just printing and printing and printing more and more money to so-called put money into their system. All right. Because beforehand, they didn't have any money in their system. The American government basically stole all the damn money out of the stock market. And now they're, falsely inflating it, by just printing out more money into it, but eventually all this money is going to come back. Not to mention, all right, the rest of the world cutting off America with their petrodollar. All right, which they're sending, the majority of American currency is outside of America. All right. All these other countries outside of America actually have way more U.S. currency than the so-called U.S. citizens, So if you was to take together every dime that every American citizen has, and you stack it up in one pile versus all the money that's outside of America, that's U.S. dollars, and you stack that up in a pile, that other pile is going to be way bigger than what the Americans have. All right. So what's happening is as these countries decide to stop using this petrodollar and stop trading with America, all this money is about to start coming back to America on top of your already 0% inflated money. All right. So that's basically what's causing all of this. All right. It says we're getting awfully close. I'd be surprised if you don't have everybody agreeing with what I'm saying next year sometime. The retired politician told the CNBC. Paul's remark comes as the benchmark 10-year treasury yield rallying to 7-year highs, intensifying fears over raising inflation. Pretty much like what I was explaining, you know what I'm saying? People are realizing like, yo, you can't, you know what I'm saying? You can't go on for so long like this. Eventually, you know what I'm saying? You're going to have to wind up paying up, and you have the people right now that's just in a state of mind being that everything is all good and everything is, you know what I'm saying? It's like, put it this way. It's like, you get, somebody tell you, you got some kind of deal, right? And they tell you, look, man, you can ride the ride for free. You know what I'm saying? You can get in through the ride and ride the ride for free, right? And so you keep getting on the ride over and over and over and over again. You done rode this thing 100 times, right? And you ain't got no money because they told you it was free. But you didn't read the fine print saying the first ride is free. You know what I'm saying? Anything after that's going to be charged to, let's say, your hotel room at, like, let's say Disney World or something, right? You didn't roll this ride 100 times because you was under the impression that it was free. Now it's time to check out, and you done got 99 charges for riding this ride. You know, the first ride was free, but you was lost in the sauce. You was, thinking everything was all good. Now you done got charged 99 times for it, and you can't afford to pay this here ticket, and now you have to stay to work off this here bill. And plus, while you're trying to stay to work off that there bill, you still being charged for your room fee that you have to stay extra nights just to pay this here deal off. So what's happening is you basically stuck into a trap to where you can't get up out of it. All right. So that's basically where we at now. They just telling you, all right, well, look, we'll let you stay in a room for a reduced price. And you thinking that, all right, well, it's a reduced price, but your bill is still stacking up. You don't even have the money to pay for the 99 rods you didn't pay, got on, let alone the 99 rods on top of your reduced hotel stay. That's where we at right now. These people are borrowing money to pay their bills. You know what I'm saying? Which they're borrowing money that they don't have. And the money's basically at a low interest rate at the point in time. But once that interest rate starts climbing up, or these petrodollars start coming back, then you're going to see, you're going to realize that your money, how they call it, super inflation. All right. Your money's going to be at a very, like, look at Venezuela, or what was that? Zimbabwe or something like that, It says, it can be pretty well validated by looking at monetary history that when you inflate the currency, distort interest rates, and live beyond your means and spend too much, there has to be an adjustment. The politician said, adding, we have the biggest bubble in history of mankind. And that's exactly what I was just explaining. You know what I'm saying? Like, this is irresponsible financing. It's like you got a credit card because you're not actually pulling no money out of your pocket, and you don't see no money coming out of your wallet when you swiping that credit card, and you just swipe and swipe and swipe, and they don't have no limits. You thinking that you can get everything that you want. But once that damn bill come in, you don't even have the money to pay for the shit that you originally wanted to pay for, let alone these credit card bills, which is added with interest. All right. And so now all you're doing is you just applying for more credit cards and paying for your credit card debt with other credit cards. It's just mounting up. It's okay for the time being, but eventually they're going to put a stop on all that. You're going to have to pay for all that, and then you can't, you done dug a hole too deep. It says it's not the first time Ron Paul has made such dire warnings. He has been cautioning investors for years that the bubble eventually bursts. It could cut the stock market in half or more. Paul predicted the February correction, but not in terms of its size and scope. The former congressman acknowledged that his previous predictions of a downturn haven't come to pass, but he said that it is just a matter of time based on the looseliness of the U.S. monetary policy since 2008 financial crisis. All right. Basically just looking at the conditions and the weather that we in right now, how America deals with its economic problems. You know what I'm saying? It says, I know what's going to happen. Paul said it will come. The bubble is bigger. The bubble is bigger than ever before. The number of politicians have also voiced concerns over ballooning deficits, including U.S. House Speaker Paul Ryan, who issued a warning regarding the nation's debt in 2012. And so not just the quantitative easing and stuff like that, and these bad loans that's going out, like the housing crisis when that happened in 2008. It's not just that, you also have to look at this the trade wars that's going on. All right, that has a big effect. Not only with the trade wars, you have to think about the petrodollar about to go out the window. So, you pushing trade wars and putting sanctions and tariffs on all kind of different countries and stuff like this, causing them not to want to trade with you, or raising the price on certain commodities, which is making it harder and harder for people to afford these certain things, which in return, these people already can't afford things here in America. So what are they going to do? Take out more and more loans, which is so-called helping America in the short term, because that's how they work. The more and more, America's economic system work through debt. The more and more money that is owed to it, that's better for them. If everybody was to pay off all their loans, and America was to settle all of its debt, that would be horrible for America. All right. That's horrible for the banks, because then therefore they're not making no more money. There's no more interest coming in. That'd be the day, if every dollar was paid off in debt in America, what you would have is basically all the banks were shut down because there's no more money for them to be getting, you know. They can't extort you no more because there's no more interest left, you know. So nevertheless, they have to keep you in this constant debt state, all right? I'm going to start here in Revelation chapter 13, touching on this here mark of the beast. This is the end all be all, you know. This is the system that they're trying to move to, but first they have to collapse the system that we in now, you know, and all this is written about in the scriptures, all right? So this is Revelation chapter 13, verse 16. It says, and he causeth all both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, and that no man might buy or sell save he that have the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. All right. And so basically you're going to wind up having to have this mark. Now, you know, we always go into this, this, scripture, obviously, when dealing with the mark of the beast, you know, about the word mark is an incision, dealing with the RFID chip, you know, but this lesson isn't necessarily dealing with that on that level. You know, this is just more or less talking about how we getting into this here system, you know, dealing on a monetary side, you know, but it's saying it's going to cause all, both small and great. Okay. You know, small would be somebody like me. I'm a small person, you know, not in size, but as far as like, if I was to go on national TV, people wouldn't know who I am, you know. But if Donald Trump go on national TV in any country, they're going to know who he is. That's somebody great, you know, or vice versa, or like this, you know, me versus, like, let's say a Jay-Z or a Lil Wayne, you know, small and great, you know, or, you know, people who are, known in the world, you know. It says, small and great, rich and poor, you know, rich being, you know, shit on levels like, let's say again, Lil Wayne and Jay-Z, that type of rich, which we know that's not even rich. You know what I'm saying? Or even, you know, your regular Edomites that's living in your whatever community or around the block from you, you know, to make, you know, that's rich comparably unto you. You know what I'm saying? That's not really rich, but it's just rich comparably to you. They're not going to escape this, you know, and even rich like, what do you call them people? Bill Gates and stuff like that, you know, and, the guy that owns Amazon, you know, that type of rich. And these people aren't even rich, you know, even though homeboy got like 100-something billion, you know, that's not even rich, you know, even higher than that, you know. These top elites, you know, well, maybe the elites might not try to so-called get this, but it's saying he calls them all, you know, small and great, rich and, well, actually they're going to get them all in there, you know, because they're going to wind up cutting out some of these people with this system. All right. It says, you know, and a lot of these people with a lot of this money, they give these people this money to use to better off their system, you know, so it don't seem like, let's just say that if the Rothschilds had all the money and they was implementing all these systems and stuff like that, people would automatically know. But if they give other people like Bill Gates and stuff money like that to do certain things, then he come out with these vaccines and stuff so it don't look so bad, you know. But nevertheless, it says he calls it, Revelation 13 and 16, he calls all, both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, you know. I would be a so-called free person, right? I'm not in prison or anything like that. But then you have the ones that's in prison, you know. But not just that, you know, you also have like, you know, basically we all in bondage to this here system, you know. But not only that, the people that's not so-called bonded to the system, the so-called higher ups of the system, you know. It says, free and bond will receive a mark in their right hand or in their forehead, that no man might buy or sell, save he that have the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. So you can't buy or sell or trade or conduct any kind of monetary transactions. All right. Now, what's going to get us into this system? Because this system isn't in place yet, but we already see the system coming to pass, because you see things like what? This cryptocurrencies and things like that coming on board. You see these other nations selling their oil and cryptocurrencies and all these different things and moving away from this American system. All right. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 12, starting at verse 3, you know, showing how we would get to this here point. All right. It says, in the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble. All right. And the keepers of the house, you know, basically the people that's in charge. All right. And who's in charge over here? Basically, it's the Edomites, you know. Let's just keep it on a smaller, simple level. You know, the so-called the elites of this country, not to say the elites, but like the government and shit like that. You know, we reading Rand Paul, you know, homeboy, him and these other people like that. They all over here, you know, comparably to us, these are like the keepers. These are the lawmakers and things like that. But they're warning Rand Paul and Paul Ryan and countless other people and these economics analysts. They're over here warning of an economic collapse. They're warning of these troubles coming. All right. It says, in the days when the keepers of the house shall tremble, the strong men shall bow themselves. All right. And the grinders cease because they are few. All right. And those that look out the window be darkened, windows be darkened. So the grinders ceasing, you know, that basically that's employment. When just think about it like this, when your manufacturing companies and stuff start slowing down and stuff like that, that's basically the backbone of American economy. All right. That's where you're going to get the majority of your, so-called stable incomes. Now you also have things like, you know, the medical field and stuff like that. You can make a sustainable living off of that. But in reality, a lot of this, your so-called sustainable living comes from what? Manufacturing and production and things like that. All right. Now, since like what, the mid 90s, a lot of that's been going out the door. All right. And that's why you're starting to see more and more people struggling now, more and more people, and the people that's not struggling. All right. These so-called Edomites and stuff like that, that's not struggling. The way they doing it is by this damn debt. You know, they just taking out loans and loans and loans. And, you know, what we don't know about what these Edomites is doing in their damn economic stuff. These motherfuckers are getting deals like 100-year mortgages on their houses, which 100 years to pay off a damn house, they're not going to ever pay it off. And plus how do you say, their bills are going to be super cheap, you know, which is causing them to be able to spend more and more money or take out more and more loans for more and more things, you know. So these things are being, how do you say, being done strategically. All right. They shipped out the manufacturing and production jobs like that. Now people have less and less jobs to make it on, but they've already taken out all these damn loans, but the loans is being hidden with the 0% interest rate on there. You know what I'm saying? But now all this stuff is coming to an end. You know, this grinding is about to cease, you know, and one of the things that you can see spiritually through, you know, going throughout, you know, like, you know, if you watch my videos, you hear about this all the time. You know, I work in basically manufacturing and production, right? And you always hear about how all the time I work. Yeah, we work like 6 days a week, multiple 12-hour shifts throughout the day or throughout the week, you know, like, man, that shit sound like slavery to me, you know? Now you would think in a certain, like, oh shit, at least you got some work. That's good. This and that. Like, nah, but if you understand and you see from the inside what's going on, what these companies are doing, you know, is they're downsizing. Now, a lot of this started with, that Obamacare, you know, a lot of these companies had to go back to, you know, the deal was, look, we can't afford this health insurance to pay all these employees. So what we'll do is, you know, in the law is like, we only have to pay for full-time employees. You know, if they part-time, you don't have to pay for them. So we'll keep them under 32 hours. All right. Which is causing a lot of these people not to be able to have sustainable jobs and for these jobs to cut their staffs. You know, for the multiple years that I've been working at my job, you know, shit has been going on, what, 5 years or so at the same job, you know. You know, I've seen our staff be cut in half like twice, you know. We done went from, almost damn near 100 something employees to damn near less than what we almost got, what, almost 20 employees or so, something like that now, you know. And what do? We had the same amount of work and if not more, because we wound up having one plant shut down and we took their whole load over on our job at our plant, you know. So you would think, you know, in a certain sense, oh, we getting more work, you know, and there's less employees for more work to go around. So that's better for us. But in reality, they're putting a whole workload on less and less people. So eventually all they can do is just shut everything down, you know. And not only that, they planning for these robots to take over all this stuff when you go into universal income. So all of this is one big giant plan to put everybody in captivity. All right. So it says, continuing on, it says, the doors be shut in the streets. Let me go back up. It says, in the days and the keepers of the house shall tremble. The strong men shall bow themselves and the grinders cease because they are few. And those, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. And the doors shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinding is low. And shall rise up the voice of the bird, and all the daughters of music shall be brought low. And the daughters of music being brought low, it's like sad R&B type music. You know, when you have I really miss my homies. You know, that's like saying the daughters of music being brought low, because instead of saying singing songs like, you know, party, 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 let's just have a good time, you know, and rejoicing, you know, you mourning over certain things, you know, and now that's what they talking about, you know. You hearing a lot of these so-called depressed songs, or and vice versa, a lot of these hyped up songs trying to get you out of that depressed moment, you know, thinking, you know, putting you in a mindset of being like everything is okay, just to get your mind off of the troubles that's going on. But then it also says, and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of grinding is low. And like I was just speaking at my job, you know, there's a lot of companies that's either going out of business, you know, shutting their doors, going online. You know, a lot of these companies are downsizing and cutting their staff in half. All right. That's what you're starting to see happen. You know, all these different things are starting to happen over here in America. All right. Verse 5, and when they shall be afraid of which is on high. All right. And the fear shall be in the way. All right. So in the things that's on high, what is that talking about? First and foremost, these prophecies, all these prophecies is coming to pass, you know, because really, when you think about it, like, if it wasn't for the Most High and these prophecies, like let's just say the Most High and all this wasn't real, right? And everything else was in place, like, you know, America in this path, America would just go on forever. You know, these countries wouldn't stand up and nothing like that. It's the Most High putting His spirit and waking everybody up to all this and bringing this destruction. All right. But now these people are afraid because they're starting to see that the power of the Most High is coming to pass. All right. It says, and the grasshopper shall be a burden, and desire shall fail, because man goeth to his long home, and the mourners go about in the streets. You know, and a lot of desire is starting to fail here in America. A lot of people are becoming depressed. You're starting to see all these Edomites committing suicide because of, you know, economic problems and so on and so forth. You know, people used to have the so-called American dream to build and to prosper here and to do this and do that. Nowadays, people are just trying to get by. You know, people are living at home with their parents, you know what I'm saying? And people doing all kind of crazy stuff, Uber and things like that. You know, you got your regular full-time job. You can have a full-time job, let's say being a police or a teacher, or you might even be working for the damn government somewhere, right? But then at night, you got to go and do some Uber Eats or some Uber or some shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Just to make ends meet, you know? It says, or even the silver cord be loosed, or the golden bowl be broken, or the pitcher be broken at the fountain, or the wheel be broken in the cistern. Yeah, you know, all your infrastructure is starting to be broken down and you can't quite repair it, you know? And just look at that on a smaller sense, you know? Look around how many people, even in a smaller sense, you know, people who used to have like nice cars and this and that, now they driving just a little car that they could pay cash for. Now the car all broke down, not even broke down, something broke down on the car and you can't even afford to get that fixed, you know? You're making a life decision whether to get the AC in the car fixed or just make sure the lights are staying on in the house, you know? But beforehand, you can just be like, well, shit, the AC broke in the car. I'm gonna go buy a whole brand new car, brand new, you know? But nowadays things ain't like that, you know? Your loans and stuff ain't like that no more, you know? Let me jump to, my next little scripture, and we'll close out here. This is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 16, and starting at verse 17. It says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? All right, and this is all talking about, which we're going to read next, the beginning of the sorrows, the times we're living in. It says, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? The beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils. What shall I do when these evils shall come? All right. We already living in a time of great famine. You know what I'm saying? You know, look at Venezuela, you know, first and foremost, you know, but you're starting to see that start to happen here in America. You know, more and more people can't afford to, you know, more and more people don't have jobs here. You know, more and more people can't afford to feed their families and stuff like that. More and more people are trying to get on governmental assistance, and more people getting kicked off of that. More and more of our programs are starting to, American programs are starting to fail because of lack of funding. Donald Trump is cutting all these different things. You know, these trade wars is causing the price of everything in the stores to go up. All right. You're getting less and less hours at your job. You're getting laid off of your job. So all these things is coming to a head to create what? Famine and great death. You know, you also have these sicknesses and people committing suicides and stuff. Just look at the Edomites and the amount of suicides they committing. And the majority of that's coming from what? Economic failure, you know? Says the beginning of wars, you know, trade wars, economic wars, and things like that, you know, plus the actual wars that we got going on. All these things are stirring up in the pot right now. All right. Like that one article says, you know, trade wars lead to real wars. All right. And the powers shall stand in fear. And what powers? These kings of the earth, you know, they all worried. Like, look at Nicolas Maduro in Venezuela. All right. Look at Bashar al-Assad in Syria. All right. Look at Khomeini and Rouhani over in Iran, you know. All these different nations, China and all of them, you know, they all creating a new currency. That's why China's creating a new currency. They standing in fear of the things that's coming. You know, what's going to happen if America keep doing this? What shall I do when these evils shall come? Behold, famines and plagues. All right. Famines and plagues where we come into now, you know, that great economic collapse. What do you think is going to happen? You know, people going to be running through grocery stores and holding people up and killing people for a bottle of water, you know, a bag of rice. If you don't believe me, look at Venezuela. All right. They got 1,000,000%, inflation. All right. Hyperinflation. It says, behold, famine and plague and tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges and amendments. But for all these things, they would not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. So yeah, and all these different things, you know, people ain't even worried about this shit, man. People just keep on going and going and going. You know, they keep on, well, you can't be worried about that. Stop watching all that depressing shit on the news, you know. Let's keep on going. Like the Lord said, you know, it's going to be the same as in the days of Noah. You know, people going to be eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, you know, in order to so-called do all of that in the sense that they talking about, you know, we all got to eat and drink every day to survive. But the way they talking about is more or less like a party, you know, you eat and you drink at a party, but you ain't doing that for survival. You know what I'm saying? But they eating and drinking and marrying and giving into marriages as if everything is all good. You know, they not even worried about this shit that's popping off. You know, they're not mindful of all these signs and, you know, these people telling you about this economic collapse and all this war coming, you know, these sanctions and these tariffs and people leaving the petrodollar. They're not worried about all that shit. All right. Verse 21. Behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in a good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. You know, and this, you know, I touched on this back when you had that, you know, the start of the trade wars and the tariffs on China and stuff like that. You know, they came back and hit America with basically saying like, look, we're going to halt our purchases of meat. You know, China and Mexico are the two largest buyers of American meat, you know, and they stopped the buying of American meat. And then what happened here in return in America, you know, that caused all the meat here in America to be super fucking cheap. You know, people was, hey, you can go get some super cheap ass meat, you know. I remember at my job, you know, they super cheap, you know, they super stingy, although they make huge money, you know, and profit as a company, you know. But nevertheless, once this meat had hit real cheap, you know, they wound up so-called rewarding us for some little bullshit that they would normally reward us with. You know, they just normally tell us like, congratulations on this and that, you know. In our meeting, they'll have a little sign up on a little slide like, good job on this, you know. But this time they want to so-called be nice and try to rock us back to damn sleep, you know. And they wound up buying a whole shitload of steak, man, big ass steak, you know, where everybody was basically, you know, almost able to get like you know, you go to a expensive restaurant, you buy like a 15, 16 ounce steak, man, that's pretty expensive, you know. We was basically getting all of them shits, you know. We was able to get two steaks, you know, like one day for one little meal, you know. And then 2 or 3 days later, we got another steak dinner, you know, just because, oh, it's safety week, we're going to do a steak dinner. Like, y'all ain't never did no shit like this, you know. Y'all always give us like a $5 off coupon or some chicken wings at the local gas station and shit, you know. But now all of a sudden you can afford to give us like $20, $30 steaks, you know, 2 of them on the same day and then twice a week, you know. But see, these people are starting to think because it's things like that, you know, they can go get loans, they can go get this, they can go get that, you know. They have these deals with cars and stuff like that. Man, buy one, get one free, or do this and do that, you know. Buy a house, no money down, no payments for 10 years or whatever, whatnot. You know, they think that they're in a good case, especially our people. That's why they don't really want to come to the truth right now, because they feel like everything is all good. It's the best time for Jake right now in a carnal sense, economically wise, because they can, not really, but in their mind, you know, they thinking they can get up and move forward. But they really in a trick bag, you know. Esau's letting you have access to all this shit when there's no more value. All right, just like the housing crisis and the housing market. Yeah, Esau let all you Jake move into the nice neighborhoods that you wanted, to these big ass houses and everything for the first time. But what? That was the end all be all. He was about to take all that shit back anyway. All right, it says, behold, victuals shall be so good cheap upon the earth that they shall think themselves to be in good case. And even then shall evils grow upon the earth, sword, famine, and great confusion. For many of them that dwell upon the earth shall perish of famine, and the other that escape the hunger shall the sword destroy. All right. And it says, and the dead shall be cast out as dung, and there shall be no man to comfort them. And the earth shall be wasted, and the city shall be cast down, and there shall be no man left to till the earth and to sow it. All right. So basically, let me see if that's all I wanted to read. Yeah. So basically, you know, when these times come, you know, and everything starts slowing down and start coming to an end, you know, you're going to wind up seeing, you know, there's, you know, people going to wind up dying of this famine. You know what I'm saying? And you see, like, when hurricanes come and stuff like that, people, or look at Venezuela, man. Prime example. That's all I got to say. Look at Venezuela, man. When the famines and stuff hit, people be worried more about feeding themselves, more important than feeding their home kids. You know, they be done ate their damn kids or sold their kids for a bag of rice, you know, just to eat, you know. So once all this inflation, hyperinflation hit over here, you know what I'm saying? Your quantitative easing ends. They call back all these loans. The stock market collapse, you know what I'm saying, plunged by 50%, and people start calling back all their loans, and interest rate goes up. You know what I'm saying? You're going to see here in America how expensive it get real quick, you know. And they say, especially like most Jakes, you know, they live check by check. They say most Americans are only 3 weeks away from being broke. If they lose their jobs, they can't even survive 3 weeks, you know. So how much more, you know, if the whole economy go to collapse like that, you know, you'll see what happened in 2008 happen all over again, you know, and even way worse, you know. So with that, Lord willing, this here lesson was edifying into the elect. Until next time, I say, call halal Yahweh, Bahashem Yahweh Shah, Bahashem Rakakodash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of great millstone that taught me this truth and that rule well. And salutation and much love for you, Akim, that's pushing this truth and sincerity on the four corners of the earth and enduring afflictions to feed and edify the elect. Stay strong. Shalom.